This is a neuron. Or a nerve cell. It sends messages throughout the body. At the top of the neuron are extensions called dendrites. They receive messages. Then the cell body, which holds all the organelles. Down here we have the axon hillock, where the cell body mates the axon, or a long extension of the neuron that sends action potentials down it. Over the axon is myelin sheaths, which allow electrical signals from action potentials to jump from nodes to nodes. These spaces in between are called nodes of Ranvier. Neurons send messages throughout the brain. In this video, a message is being sent to a muscle cell for contraction. The message is a chemical signal called a neurotransmitter, which is at the end of the neuron, a place called the synaptic terminal. Several things must happen for the neurotransmitter to be released. The neuron starts at resting potential, which is the homeostatic voltage of a cell, which for a neuron is 70 millivolts. When a cell gets depolarized, meaning it gets less negative, and it reaches a threshold point, it can fires an action potential, an all or nothing energy burst, which allows an electrical signal to flow through the neuron. An action potential occurs when sodium-gated ion channels open, allowing sodium to flow from outside the cell inside the cell. This depolarizes the cell. When the electrical charge is, there are two parts to a sodium channel. The activation gate, which opens quickly allowing sodium in, and the inactivation gate, which closes slowly and blocks sodium from getting in. When the charge of the electrical charge is high enough, voltage-gated potassium channels open slowly. That's the pump. Allowing potassium out of the cell, repolarizing it. At this point, there is an absolute refractory period, meaning that the cell cannot fire another action potential. As the cell repolarizes or hyperpolarizes, meaning it gets more negative, it enters a rut, or the undershoot, where the potential is below resting potential. Sodium and potassium pumps restore that potential by pumping sodium out and potassium in. The potassium gates serve another purpose. They make sure that the action potential moves in one direction, allowing messages to be sent. As the action potential travels down the axon into the to the synaptic terminals, it triggers voltage-gated calcium channels to open. That allows calcium to enter the synaptic terminal. This calcium allows vesicles filled with neurotransmitters to be released into the synaptic cleft, or the space between the presynaptic neuron and a postsynaptic cell. The neurotransmitters are released through exocytosis. In this case, the neurotransmitter acetylcholine binds to a ligand-gated ion channel. And with this, we move to the muscle cell quickly for more stuff. In the muscle cell, there are thick myosin. In the muscle cell, there are thick myosin filaments and thin filaments, which are made of actin and other proteins. ATP prevents myosin heads from binding to actin. But when ATP splits into ADP and a phosphate group, it allows myosin to bind to actin, and then when ADP is released, it allows actin to flex and slide the actin closer together, which is a muscle contraction. However, tropomyosin and troponin block the binding sites for myosin to bind to actin. Acetylcholine fixes that by allowing these ligand-gated ion channels to open, which allows ions in, which then allows calcium to be released from an organelle, a specialized muscle organelle called the sarcoplasmic reticulum, to release calcium. Calcium then binds to troponin, which allows tropomyosin to move, which then allows actin to bind. This is how this allows the muscle to contract. When the muscle, as long as there's a flow of calcium and ADP, the muscle can contract and relax. And that's how a neuron sends a message to a muscle, which allows it to contract. Thank you for watching this video.